Om Sri Sairam, my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our dearest Bhagavan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. So welcome to modules 2 and 3. And in these two modules, the main purpose is to better understand the structure and the responsibilities of office bearers that serve in the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. So the first question is to better understand our aim and purpose of the organization that bears his name. The first question is, what is the objective of the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization? I'd like you to take a minute of your time and reflect on this particular question and ask yourself, what do you feel is the objective of Bhagavan's organization? From a 1983 discourse, and that soon appeared in an April publication of the Sevada, Bhagavan says the sole objective of all the Sathya Sai organizations is to enable man to discover his innate divinity, regain his self-confidence and faith in God. And that is the only objective. And therefore, in all of our responsibilities and roles that we carry out, in the many different ways that we can work and be his instrument, we always have to reflect on this single, simple, sole objective of the organization that bears his name. And this is an objective that Bhagavan himself has given us. In a second discourse by Bhagavan that appears in the Sathya Sai Baba Speaks, Sai Speaks, Volume 3, page 44, Swami says, this organization is intended to broaden your love, to channelize your activities through devoted service. In the next set of slides, the objective is to understand the structure of the organization that Bhagavan has put in place. Firstly, what we want to have as office bearers is to have an innate amount of knowledge of the structure and functions of the organizations. And these are noted on websites, publications of the SSSIO, as well as communications of the organization in print and online and audio and video forms. We want to make sure that we are able to share this particular information with all members of the organization, and so that you may inform, inspire, and motivate others to serve in this divine mission. So the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, how are we organized? How is the entire organization structured? So it starts with the organization itself, SSSIO, that was established in 1965. Over the many decades, the name of the organization has changed, but its objective and function remains one and the same as given by Bhagavan. In 2004, Swami had established the Prashanti Council. This is a group of members of senior devotees that Swami himself selected and who still function today. In 2006, Bhagavan had established the Sri Sathya Sai World Foundation. These two governing bodies and management bodies then ensure the functioning of the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. The World Foundation functions as the governing body, while the Prashanti Council functions as the management body. The governing body defines, manages, and represents Swami's mission throughout the entire world. The management body then implements, operates, and monitors all of Swami's activities and missions across the entire globe. Together, both the World Foundation as well as the Prashanti Council ensure that Swami's objective of spreading his love and his message throughout the world through in the form of service to mankind is managed and operated as efficiently as possible. The organization is split across 9 zones, Zone 1 is North America, while Zone 2 is South America. Zone 3 is Australia. Zone 3 is Australia, New Zealand, and some of the island nations surrounding it. Zone 4 is Southeast Asia, while Zone 5 is the Far East. Zone 6 and 7 are both the North and Southern Europe countries. Zone 8 is Eastern Europe, as well as Russia. And Zone 9 represents all of Africa. In Canada, we have 6 different zones. Ontario Zone 1, Ontario Region 1 is Toronto West and west of Toronto, and as well as Psi centers within the western part of the Greater Toronto area, and towards the eastern side of the Greater Toronto area, as well as closer to the edge of the eastern side of Toronto encompasses Region 2. Region 3 is Quebec, as well as the easternmost aspects of Ontario. That would be cities such as Kingston and Ottawa. In Region 4, we have both Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and their Psi centers in Winnipeg and Saskatoon. In Region 5, we have Alberta and the Northwest Territories, with Psi centers in Calgary and Edmonton. We have a Psi center in Yellowknife and a devotional group in Fort McMurray. And in British Columbia and Yukon, we have centers in the region of Vancouver. So next, what we would like to do is to go through the aims, objectives, and goals of the organization. So there are several important documents that we would like all office bearers to read and ensure that you are fairly well versed with these guidelines and objectives. The first one is the guidelines themselves. The guidelines are given by Bhagawan, and a number of years ago, those guidelines, the last set of instructions that we had received was in 2010, and after receiving approval from Satya Sai Baba, the guidelines committee was formed to develop a set of guidelines to apply generally to the whole of SSSIO. The guidelines were then published in August 2012. These are the guidelines that all Psi centers across the world have been operating by through the several decades. Apart from the guidelines, there is an operations manual that all centers are advised to follow through. In each center, it is important that all members pay particular importance to the 9-point code of conduct, as well as the 10 guiding principles. And lastly, and most importantly, that transformation of individual through practice of Bhagavan's teachings. So going back to those 4 bullets that I mentioned earlier, the first one are these guidelines. The latest document, or at least the in print version, is from July 2017. As I've seen, these are available on the website, satyasai.org. The operations manual of all Psi centers and devotional groups are also available at the same website. And here you can see some of the table of contents, and it goes through and ensures that all SSE programs are conducted in a particular way. And these all encompasses and part of the education wing. And there is also a devotional wing and a service wing. These 3 wings are the primary wings within all Psi centers. And in later years, we have had a young adults program, as well as a ladies section. Details of how each of these wings and young adults programs and so forth are all available within the operations manual. The 9 code of conduct was given by Bhagavan, and this encompasses the essence of all of Swami's teachings of how all devotees should conduct themselves at Psi centers and in their own lives. I leave it to you. Most of you would know them very well. and have been exposed to them and follow these teachings. But I'd like to at least stress on a couple of them. One, group devotional singing or prayer with family members once a week. Most devotees, especially office bearers, are highly recommended to be active participants within your own Sai centers, specifically making sure that all office bearers within the organization are active in their satsangs, bhajan singings, and group devotional singings. Participation in Sai spiritual education by children of the family, regular attendance at the center's devotional meetings. Number 6, regular study of Satya Sai Baba's literature. Bhagwan has written a series of Vahini series of books that was specifically written by Swami himself, and also his discourses have been transcribed into several books called Satya Sai Speaks. Regular study of Swami's literature is highly advisable for all devotees, specifically office bearers. The practice of placing a ceiling on desires, the use of soft and loving speech with everyone within the center. And the importance here is that as an office bearer, we always have to have an attitude of being servants to the devotees within our Sai center, rather than taking a notion of being a leader within the center. And last and most importantly, not speaking ill of others, especially in their absence. The 10 guiding principles are also seen before yourselves. I'd like to point out a couple of important ones. The first one, specifically, love and serve your country. Do not be critical of others' countries. The second one, honor all religions, for each is a pathway to the one God. This is specifically a very important aspect of Swami's teachings of unity of faith. And it is important for all office bearers to understand the universality of Swami's teachings. Another, number 10, observe your country's laws and be exemplary citizens. So in summary, the SSSIO, organization that Bhagawan had founded and that bears his name, is a spiritual organization, not a religious one. And that is a very important distinction that we all have to understand. Why? Because of the fact that one of the tenets of Swami's teachings is unity of faiths, placing importance on the universality of Swami's teachings. We all volunteer our time, and any member volunteers and chooses to be in the presence of our Sai Center and being a member of our organization. We never proselytize anyone to being a member of our organization. And most importantly, we do not collect any money. Voluntary contributions are only accepted, and we never put any devotee in a position where they feel obliged to volunteer. And this is very important within the organization, and most importantly, and within all Sai centers. Members are to put Satya Sai's teachings into practice in their daily lives. And this is, as Bhagawan had mentioned, is the objective of the organization in itself, is to realize the innate divinity in ourselves. And lastly, membership requirements. And here it is posed as a question mark. Are there membership requirements to being a member of the organization? And the answer is no. There are no membership requirements. If there is one, the only item would be, only characteristic would be to express as much love with all members of the Sai Center and the organization. So we leave you with this, with Swami's message, and that is, has a office bearer serving within his organization, as you have seen in the last couple of minutes, the importance of an office bearer to understand the structure and the roles and the responsibilities of all of the office bearers that serve Swami within his organization. But however, the attitude in which we serve him should be such. And from Satya Sai Speaks, Volume 6, Swami says, feel that you are an instrument in his hands. Let him shape you and use you as he knows best. And therefore, as an office bearer, we all have to have the attitude of being servants to the devotees that we serve.